This is Bemovation. My name is Noluthando Chabalala, also known as the Advocate of Self-Love. This is the platform, the channel, the podcast where we pair beauty with motivation, enabling you, allowing you, motivating you to become, chase, and level up to the best version that you can be. Having conversations with women, men, around the nation. I nearly said around the globe, right? We are putting it out there. But we're having conversations with women and men from around the country that are doing great things, making an impact, stepping up, choosing to become the best version of themselves. Because this game of life is anyone's game, but you need to have the right mindset, you need to have the right attitude, and you need to see yourself properly. I always say, your perception, how you see yourself, how you look at yourself is what counts, not how the world sees you. The world will see you in any way. It is how you see yourself. Now, my guest is, as always, you know how I roll, dynamic guests, amazing people that are doing things in their own right, in their own space. Her name is Petunia M. She is vibrant, she is stunning, dark chocolate, young lady, eloquent, hailing from Mpumalanga, and she does many, many, many things. She actually was crowned Miss Africa in 2019, am I correct?
Yes.
And then she is the founder. You know what? Let her introduce herself. Petunia, thank you so much for making it.
Likewise, you're such a honey.
Thank you for making the time to come onto the Bemovation podcast, because I know you do so many things, but you're here and I appreciate it.
Yeah, Bonga, for inviting me. It's great to be here. Hello.
Petunia, you do many things. You're a young lady who is cementing herself unapologetically and professionally. That is one thing I like about you. But can it come from you? Can you please tell the viewers who you are, where you come from, and what you do?
Right, so I'm Petunia. I hail from the beautiful province of Mpumalanga in Komatipoort, to be precise. And yeah, I'm so Joburg right now, just like every other young South African from, all the other 8 provinces. So I guess it's a Joburg because, but see, this is where the gold is. And so now I was like, okay, I'm going to follow the trend. But yeah, life has been great. In Mpumalanga, I went to tax. I did my criminology degree there. And last year, I completed my diploma in compliance. I also have a background in marketing. So I was in corporate for 6 years. And in 2022, it was the end of my journey with corporate.
Yeah.
From there on, I've just been really in the streets and following my passions and really trying to figure out what I'm meant to be doing. And uNkulunkulu Muhle, he's been leading me. I currently run You're so cute, the smile.
The reason she's shy to talk, she's one of those people that just are so graceful and don't want to mention everything that they do. You're on the Bemovation podcast. You're going to even tell us how you clean your kitchen.
Oh my God. My cousin my cousin is like one of my closest people, right?
Yeah.
And so I always involve her and invite her in literally everything that I do that's related to my work, as a young person and the spaces that you just touched on.
Yes.
And so she was like, Petunia, you're so modest. Like, why did you want people to know what you're up to? So I guess, and when such your people, I'm like, I feel like God is just really forcing me out of my comfort zone. But it is the right time. So I do have a security company. I'm in security, a very much male-dominated industry.
Yes.
I decided to tap into that space when I was like 26, I think, 25, 26.
Yeah.
And a couple of years later, I founded the Emerge Africa Awards. And now there's Mrs. Bold, Pageant. And we recently decided, uNkulunkulu rather decided to share, you're ready for more. And so we're going to expand the Emerge platform podcast, which is the hashtag Then What podcast. And you guys are going to see her actually with this seat on our podcast because she is a nominee Guma Image. So yeah,
I love
that's
it.
me in a nutshell, my sweetie.
I love it, Petunia. You are a young lady doing, in fact, it's not even about doing, you're outpouring yourself. And the reason I'm choosing the word outpouring is because I know you have a very strong foundation of God.
Yes.
And how did this come about? The reason I'm asking is because the notion or the belief or the narrative is that young people, young ladies, especially young, beautiful ladies, have got no sense of God in them.
Yeah.
Because there's terms, slay queen, you know, when you're beautiful like yourself. I mean, my guess,
Thank
you
my
know.
loves.
When you're beautiful, there's this narrative that you're using your beauty to level ahead. But
Yeah.
I've engaged you and I've come to know you, and you've got such a strong sense and base of God. Where does that come from?
Mostly from really my mom, my background, the upbringing. I'm not going to talk much about, how we grew up, but
Yes.
I think the one thing that many South Africans can relate with, Nguti, in our Black communities,
Yes.
besingekho well off, most of us. And so this is so interesting because yesterday my cousin sent me a voice note. Cha, you know what? God was talking to me and I thought I should send you this voice note.
Yeah.
He says we should not dwell too much on our past.
Yes.
But we should allow people to meet us where we are now.
Now.
Because if God wanted the people to know about that, he would have made it a point with Babe Kona back then. And so that's how you can say, I don't want to dwell too much on that. But to answer your question, my mom is very spiritual. Githi sikhulele esontweni, and I am grateful for that foundation that my mom gave us, because manje sengikhulile and I see ukuthi it really works.
Yes.
So obviously, at some point, just like every other kid, you feel like you know it all and you figure things out on your own.
Yeah.
I think at that time I was like in varsity. I'm like, no, I know what I'm doing. I can crack this life thing.
Yeah.
My mom doesn't know nothing, I born in the city life, like she knows nothing about this. And then uNkulunkulu emuhle, though, I think also wanting to protect me, wangibamba very early, ukuthi angibizele ekuthenini in my little corner, this is not how it's done, and I do believe, Guti, as people, we come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And when I came to Joburg for school and then corporate, I realized there's too much going on around me. And so I had to have a conversation with myself. Do I want to participate in any and everything that every young person is doing in the streets of Johannesburg? Or am I going to go back to what I was taught back at home? Ngokuthi ngubani. I have a family that I'm still accountable kuyo, that I represent everywhere I go. And I was taught ukuthi my soul i-ownwa umdali. And so I owe my life to my God. And also when I looked at everything that was happening around me, young girls back in varsity.
Yes.
Kanjwe busuku, kuyagroovwa, kuyalalwa, you name it.
Yes.
So I was like, I'm not sure if I can keep up with this life. I don't even know if I want it for myself. It doesn't, it's not something that resonates with who I am because of how I was raised. Ngikhulele esontweni, sikhula sifundi iBhayibheli, sazi ukuthi uNkulunkulu owns our lives.
Yes.
And so I had to make that decision at a very young age. And I was like, you know what? I really don't care how everybody gets it together in the streets of Johannesburg. I'm just going to follow what I was taught from a very young age. And that is God, who is the owner of my life. And I trust Guti, he's going to lead me exactly where from the beginning.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that makes sense to my life. And like I said, we come from somewhere. In my journey with God, wangbonisa ukuthi, and this is how he revealed it to me. It's almost like a code of some sort that connects human beings to him. Because when you read the word, all souls belong to him. He says he knew us before we showed up in this world. And I thought about all those things, as I was trying to figure out how I was going to do this life thing in Johannesburg. And I was like, okay, so there's this God that knows me, who knew me before I showed up, before I was even formed in my mom's womb. And he also revealed it. So these are the revelations as wasolayo by dwelling in his presence. The code thing, it's not in the Bible, but in the I can't move without him.
Yeah.
You know, and those conversations, you know what, if I am to make it in this big city where there's plenty of people from all walks of life, different countries, provinces, you name it,
Behaviors.
I need to just go back to the person that made me, find out from him, dude, why am I here? What do you want me to do?
Yes.
And he positioned me perfectly. I'm content, I'm happy, and he continues to lead me, and that's that.
I love it. I love girlies that are for God. And girlies that are for God is not a matter of being perfect. It's not a matter of being holy. It's about establishing that connection between yourself and your creator. The one entity force, the one person, if you may, that knows everything about you from start to finish. Now, there is also a lot of disconnect, especially amongst young people, young women, because of societal pressures, you know, soft life, blessers, someone taking care of me. We see it happening. We listen, we don't judge, okay? We are just here to give a different perspective. In your case, how did you link your success with God? Because so many people, and myself included, I could say for a certain time or a certain while or a certain period, I did not link the fact that God wants me super successful. God wants me super nice. God wants me super, you know. There was this whole belief that when you are for God and advocate for God and want to be in that light, your life is just going to be mediocre. Hence, if you look at it, before people have that real, genuine, authentic connection with God, they think that they're just supposed to just live by the way. So my question to you, Petunia, is when did you link the fact that God is for your success, is for your glow up, is for everything beautiful in and out? He wants it for you. When did that click?
Honestly, not too long ago. As much as I tried to step into the business space, you know, back when I was like 25, 26.
Yes.
I'm 31 now. I feel like gonke kurivilega as I continue to you know, walk and acknowledge him as the leader in my life. And so Lugnini ungfunzisa as I go.
Yeah.
So maybe 2-3 years ago, I would say.
Yeah.
But prior to that, I was already running some of these platforms that I told you about.
Yes.
And so coming back to, you know, some of the stuff that you touched on, first of all, Mfunaguti, what I've realized is we are created in God's image.
Yes.
That's what he says. And so what are the attributes of God? Siyabona in the word where he speaks things into being.
Yes,
right?
into existence.
And so Uma Ati, he created us in his image. Bushaguti, I have the ability to also see and speak things into existence, like you just said. So because of that freedom, asipeyona, if you look at the world around us, uzobonuguti, most people create and think things into being, but aba consulted with their maker. And so what does that look like? It looks like me being in corporate, you know, I have a qualification in compliance, but it's not really what I want to do. I studied that because society says we need to have all these qualifications. Right? But who is Petunia? When I went to my God, at some point I was like, okay, this is not working, this is not working. I'm not enjoying this. What is it that you say you created me for? Because you told me, but you knew me before I showed up. Can I get your perspective,
your viewpoint?
Because I've tried it all. Like, I'm not fulfilled. You know, and I don't enjoy what the world says I should be doing. And I certainly do not want to sell my body to make a living. I don't want that. So what is it that you have for me? And then the conversations, Unkulunkulu is faithful.
Yes.
And then he let me in. Wangchela, okay, this is what and in a nutshell, I'm just called to serve. So if you look at everything that I do, it boils down to that. I just serve in different ways. And so because of the free will asipeyona, that's where we lose it. See, feeling as it's okay, we can do all these things, we don't need him. And so I tried that. It's not fulfilling. It wasn't working for me until I went back to my creator. Okay, what does my life look like? What do you want me to be doing? And then you start aligning yourself with that. It's not easy because you are surrounded by a whole lot of beautiful young girls who are making it big in corporate, in different
Driving
spaces
big cars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, God, I'm choosing to follow what you say about me. But look, God is so great because we are seeing it all around us every single day. If you pay attention, eventually the people who choose to do things their way end up crashing. I'm funny controversial, but yeah, I'm gonna challenge you guys to within Kabang.
Yes.
And Gullo also funugutu say the path that God has set for them from the beginning. It may be slow, but they really crash because they are aligned, but also it's fulfilling.
Yes.
I always say to my mom, Imbilo yitse.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you're short nini, I'm 31. I don't even know. Until I'm 90.
Yes.
Do I want to be miserable until I'm like 90? No. So the one thing that made sense for me, and I'm so grateful, this awareness, at a very young age and allow him to lead me.
Yeah.
And in me, like, him like doing that for me, make these mistakes in my business endeavors, as I try to figure out, how what is done. And he's still able to pick me up and continue to show me the way. In that way, I'm protected. And Nibonile so many times how, he would show up for me. Just this morning, hello, we secured our very first sponsor for the Image Africa Awards. So they're going to be sponsoring like all our trophies. 3 years of doing the work, I was literally funding the project from my pocket. And I always say this to my family, I don't want to do it. I'd rather be sitting by the beach enjoying a cocktail somewhere with the money.
Yes.
But because I'm called to serve and I'm in alignment with what God wants for me, I didn't mind booking the venues, buying the awards, branding, everything, just because I value the work that my community is doing and I want to give back. That is my way of serving my community. I didn't mind that.
Yes.
And only in the 4th year, God is like, okay, I've been seeing the work. I see that you are in alignment with what I've called you to do. And so now I'm going to step in and show you how it's like when you are in alignment. And so, but to answer your question, it's easier when you are in a partnership with God. You don't have to sell your soul and literally in every aspect, right? To make it. uNkulunkulu will always provide. God will always lead you. But I think for me, it just works.
Petunia, you said, Uguti, you're talking a lot. You have no idea what you've just done for me in what you've said. Because you explained and shared the exact part of my journey that I'm on. Where you say to God, I've invested. I've put in the time. I'm doing everything out of pocket. And I know even that out of pocket, you are making it possible. But I need breakthrough. I need that, that reciprocation back in any way, shape, or form. And it's like you sitting here and I got goosebumps and held back tears because it's like you are literally the confirmation of everything that I was asking God this morning, this very morning, to say, my dude, you see me, even today I'm sick because I was very sick. And I was like, you can see I'm getting up and I'm going to do the work and I've got a team. There's people to take care of. What are we doing? So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much. And to you at home, like I always say, I always want to share the spiritual aspect of it because most, if not all of my guests, are people that have a regard for God. And that is intentional for this platform, for this podcast, because for some of us, those that are my audience, those that are part of my community, our source, our core, our main sponsor is God, right? So I want you to always, back at home, whenever, like Petunia said, whenever there's a challenge, whenever you feel like you don't even know where it's gonna come from, what's gonna happen, take it back to God.
Yeah.
Question Him.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be doing? Because, like I said, there is a direct link.
Yeah.
It's not a mistake. There is a direct link between God and your success.
Right.
Now, let's get into business.
Yay.
How do you, or where do you, as a 20-something-year-old, get the audacity to go into security? That very risque industry.
For some reason, I knew you were going to ask me that question.
Of course. I mean, I always ask very inquiring questions.
Yeah. So I was in corporate at the time, and when I'm, the CEO,
Yes.
and the people that were helping him at the time, there was a lady in his team, and I'm like, oh my God, this lady looks absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah.
What does it take to look like that? And then you watch TV, all these beautiful women who are making it big. They are running businesses, and now I'm this child of God. Let me tell you anything. We are senzela, and I'm like, okay, let's see if we can like push the buttons and And so I think my background in corporate and the spiritual aspect of my life, Puma this bomb, and I'm like, okay, what do I make of this? Like, I can literally do anything. And so to test the waters, I want to just have into 80 director. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna go to CIPC, register the business, get those documents, the IT director, Petunia. That's all I needed, right? So I'm like, okay, what business are we registering though? And then I went online. I remember I was in corporate at the time, and I went to Google, and I was like, okay, what business can I start? I'm not passionate at the time. My passion ukusebenza ngabantu, but I'm like, okay, abantu abarana businesses, business is strict, so maybe I need to have something in my line. So they gave me like a whole list of companies, businesses, and I was like, okay, cool. Which one would suit me? I was like, this one. Yeah. I had no idea what I was doing. I just went like, okay, I'm going to choose this one, because Bazok Neges are like the list, and then they would explain on the side what this industry is about. And out of all the business ideas that they gave me, this particular one, it's a male-dominated industry. And I was like, okay, I love challenge. This is the one that I'm going to go for. I don't want the easy one. Let me do this one. And then did my research on that Gemanje. And then, I registered, did everything that I had to do to get my license. And
she laughs.
License me, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Now it's time to go and look for business. Yes. Because for the security. Yes. So now I go back to pray. I'm like, God, because I need a client for this. And with Sarah, you have to pay your license fee every year. Yeah. At the time, it was like 7,000 Rand. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to pay this money from my salary. You need to make a way. So luckily, I told a client, and this client, to cut the long story short, because I feel like people need to understand this. And think everything is just like all rosy. Ever. So now I'm like, okay, I'm already in. So my client, someone link up with this company. Okay, there's this company that's looking for a security company. Yes. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, cool. I can do that. Yeah. So, but okay, really, I'm like, yes, but okay, we want armed officers. I was like, I have everything. That time, do you have? No! So I'm like, okay, cool. Security, ngitole. And then, basbafuna firearm. I'm like, okay, cool, I can get that for you guys. Yeah. Size Kia, the shop in greenstone, but they are fake. I didn't know at the time. So I guess I'm like, you guys, my client, ufuna i-firearm, and i-security officer say, "Khona, ngicela ningiphi i-firearm." But okay, which one? I'm like, well, you can give me that one.
Yes.
Ngababonisa ukuthi ngifuna. Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, give me that. Bangipha yona, I think it was like 2,000 rand at the time. And then bangipha nama bullets, but like the plastic ones.
Yes.
Right? I don't know what I 5,000 phakathi. They gave me those bullets and then I took everything. Ngahamba ngathatha i-officer ngayifaka esayithini, ngamnikeza that gun, faka ama-bullet wakhe, and then waqala. So 2 weeks later, my client calls me. He's like, Petunia, I'm at work. Eric's gun, is it real? I'm like, yeah, it is. I think, do you want to come to the office, please? We need a meeting with you because
my goodness,
suspect this gun is not real. I was like, sure, I'm coming. And then I went. Bangshali's person, they're like, what's going on? I'm like, well, you guys said you want an armed officer. I went, and then I gave it to you. What more do you want? Only to find out the gun was fake, the bullets were fake, like everything was fake.
Gosh.
Yeah. But so Sivan, I'm still with them.
Yes.
For 3-4 years later, I'm still with them. What they saw was an ambitious young woman who was just ready to take on the world, stand up for what she wanted, and literally venturing out to go and get what she wanted. And they wanted to support the dream. So we had the conversation, bang advice, I was like, okay, cool. And we let that go. We're still together. We're still working. They still are helping me grow a business here, Kula, because I was willing to, learn, be a student. You don't have to get it right before you start. You can take the leap and the right people, right. And God knew I needed that kind of a client to walk me through it. And now, if you come to me, I can supply you with the exact thing that you want. Because now I know, but I had to go through that phase of learning and allowing myself to be the student of life. And again, trusting ukuthi uNkulunkulu will link you up with the right people at the right time. And, the confidence that I got from that led me to now, establish all these other platforms. And obviously, there's this saying, Letty, you never really see the bigger picture. You just have to take a step that makes sense for you. And then uNkulunkulu will continue to open more doors, or Ragboni say what the next step and the next and the next is. So just take the very first, don't worry about the details. God will sort that out. Take the very first step, keep it moving, do what you're supposed to, do what you can with what you have. And then God just wants to see you in motion, Baton.
God wants to see in motion. That is such an amazing story.
Yeah.
It's actually not even a story. It's a testimony, because what you shared really affirms the fact that if God is in it, no man can actually bring it down. They could have laughed at you. They could have terminated a contract. They could have mocked you. But because God was leading, they thought, okay, let's actually
assist her,
follow protocol and assist her and watch her grow and become, the powerhouse that she is becoming.
And now, we negotiate from start to finish because I was willing to embrace those what other people would consider failures.
Yes. Hiccups.
Perspective is everything. Yeah. Perspective is everything. If I felt embarrassed or I feel like I was, oh my God, what are they going to think about me now that they found out to go to the... I didn't know, and I went and told them.
And I'm sure it was heavy for it to seem like a real gun, right?
I didn't even know what a real gun is supposed to look like. So yeah, I'm happy, I'm only 25, 26.
Wow.
I'm giving you what you said you wanted.
That's all.
Exactly. So they then sat me down and said, hey, it's not how it works. And I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to go back and do my homework. Because I also wanted the contract at the time. You know what I'm saying? Of course. So like you said, Tando-san, it's just being willing to learn from the people that walked the path before you, and what would normally look like a failure to other people, when as a business person, because I do believe people are different in general and we're called to do different things. And so for that reason, our paradigm, elifini,
Yeah.
is not the same.
Same.
So because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a creative, I'm not going to see things the way a normal person
Analytical person, yes.
ukuthi mhlambe asebenze azoyibona ngakhona. And so
Yes.
for me, that moment wasn't embarrassing at all.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to come in and tell you
what you need.
Yes.
I love it. I love it so much. I truly love how you really channel your intelligence with confidence and sprinkle God on top of it to make things happen.
Yeah.
And to really affirm how God is, in the things that you do. So I'm sure, but like I said, by the time this episode airs, the Image Africa Awards would have, happened. The event would have happened.
Yeah.
So I'm sure for those that are not sure, you'll be able to find you're going to have content on it, right?
Yes.
So I'll put down the links below on this video for you to go and find and see, learn more about Image Africa Awards. But I recall when I got your email about the nomination.
Yes.
You have no idea. You have no idea how that affirmed everything that I've been doing for the past 10 years. Because as I shared with you, my journey with inspiration and motivation didn't start 2, 3, 4 days ago. It started 10 years ago, where much like you, God was just like, talk to people.
Yeah.
Talk to people. I'd be in the office during my break. I'm going into the small storage room and I'm going to record videos, right? So when you've done something for that long and you're putting your heart and soul into it, yes, maybe other people, because of numbers and whatnot, don't really get to think that it's something that you want and truly are pouring out so much. But I know how much this is my, So when I got that message, that email that said that you've been awarded and your category is under, influence, content creator, and we see the influence that you have.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you.
Oh.
I really want to say thank you because as much as people really kind of at times, I know there's a certain group of people that completely respect the content creation industry. And there's also a huge chunk of people that think we are just playing. Because obviously you're going to see me makeup, Petunia makeup, looking at it. It's a lot.
Right.
You literally give in your mind, body, and soul into this. As you can hear my voice, I'm sick, but I have to be here because the show has to go on. For someone to come and say, we see you, we acknowledge you, we thank you, we nominate you. I couldn't believe it. I think I stared at the email for a good 3 minutes, reading it over and over. So first thing, thank you. Second thing, where do you then get the desire or even the instinct to make others seen and feel heard? Right? Because we even forget about how hard we work in the content creation space, and we're looking at other international awards, and we're thinking, will I ever get there? Will I even ever? And then there comes Image Africa Awards. From nowhere, and you're like, wow, there's people that know me, they see me. Where does that come from? Because you could have strived to also be part of the people that are being seen, but you opted to be the one that says, we see you, we acknowledge you, we are rooting for you. Where did that come from?
Your choice of words, girl.
I'm a speaker. I'm a speaker.
Okay, so first of all, it's a pleasure. Number two, I think it stems from my calling to serve. Once you understand your work that you are called to do in this life, then it becomes easier. I've never had, from the very day, nale awareness of what I am called to do, I've never had the desire, well done. Because I get my well done from my creator. I have a very strong relationship with God. So my well done comes from him because he's the one directing me. And in my little space with him, he gets to tell me who I am, how he wants me to show up
Yes.
to the world, what he wants me to be doing. And so when you are a creator, when you are creating platforms like this that are of high impact in your community,
Yes.
it has to be linked to your purpose as a person. And so because I understood from a very young age, Guti, I have to get that inspiration from the person that sent me in this world in the first place. It made sense for me to go back to that. And so God will let you in in general, what people desire in general. It's human nature to want to be seen. It's human nature to want to be recognized.
Yes.
We all want, hey, you're doing well, you know. And so I get all of that in my conversation with the Lord as I try to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. And then, as you know, those ones, ngibapha talente aganje. But the going gets tough. And so I'm going to need you to step in. Usho Gutini, we see you. Umupe that pat on the back.
I feel like crying right now because that's exactly how I felt when I got your email. Exactly how I felt.
And so the vision was simple. Uyakubonisa nje this pool where everyone is, you know, showcasing their talent, their skills, their creativity. And it's like, okay, there's too many people wanting to be seen. And all these big brands that want to partner with you guys, buying other numbers, credibility, you have to be credible and all these things. So it's like, okay, you're going to create this platform where the best of the best will be seen, recognized, and it's going to help them stand out from the others. Labayenzela just for the sake of. Because you did mention earlier, Guti, there are people who regard content creation as business. And then just because
for a nice time.
You know. So with us, we only focus on the ones that are really making an impact. And that's how the vision came to me. So I'm going to run with it. But I also know, because I have a background in corporate and I was always like a star performer, you know, in my department at the time, it always felt great, you know, when I always received awards from the owner of the company, Guti. I was like the top performer in my department and things like that. It's just nice.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be grand. Logutinje, thank you. I see you. It did a lot for my self-confidence. Nalindlela nje ebengishwa phanga khona in my work, you know, the following day and the years after receiving that. And so, in a nutshell, uNkulunkulu will reveal to you the importance of the platform. And then I grasped and I just decided to run with it. And the impact is massive. Also, it gets validated each year when we host, you know, the finals.
Yes.
As soon as we announce the winners, big people, esibabonayo on social media, that you wouldn't think bangay appreciate into njalo. They get on stage and the speeches are always moving. Actually, umuntu ukuthi they see me on social media, 100,000, 300,000, 500,000 followers, but they don't know what it took for me to get where I'm at. And so thank you, Emerge, for just seeing me. And you are in your space. There's another one who is a fitness coach. There's another one who is running a business. So we've got all these categories. So each person is competing in their respective space. And so we are saying, in your space, we see you. In your space, we see. So the impact is, this is bigger than me. You know, I need you guys, Guti, Nive, part of the whole thing. And we always open to feedback and, you know, suggestions on how we can even make it big, because it's for the community. Also, Guti, we have too many issues in our societies, and we spoke about this, you know, go podcast the other day. there's too much going on, and we are seeing how God is moving in young people's lives nowadays.
Yeah.
He's challenging them to use their God-given talents
Yes.
to make a living.
Uh-huh.
The social media space is purely that.
Yes.
We are seeing people literally showcasing their talent, creativity.
And that is God himself.
That is God himself.
Someone's talent, someone's gift, that's
Yes.
God himself.
And so it takes a lot to open yourself up to the world. Bazo criticizer, they're going to have any and everything to say about how you are showing up. But that deserves recognition, because how many people can really open themselves up to the world like that? Instead of bashing and throwing in critiques that are not even invited, I echo welcome in the first place. Can't we just celebrate these people for being courageous enough?
Delusional, motivational speak. But we are delusional.
Honey, that is the gift that God placed in you.
Yeah.
And it takes courage. I don't know how many people I've spoken to date. If they were to just take the leap of faith, bangaba so big. Fear is the one thing to hold people back. It takes courage to do what you're doing. And you don't just wake up and do what you're doing.
You don't. Like, excuse me. We need to
respect the crafty abantu and how they show up.
I'm going to come on the point of fear. But before I do, I want to, because we don't even have a lot of time. I mean, you're such a gem of a fountain of beautiful principles and, knowledge. You are beautiful.
Thank you.
And I know that in my years of living, beauty almost comes with a gift and a curse. Where you're beautiful, people think you don't have a brain. You're beautiful, people think that you are not smart, you're not ambitious, and so forth.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have the confidence. How do you deal with the world wanting to crush you? Because I shared this, I think, in season 1. That for me, maybe I was naive, or maybe I wasn't exposed to the world, or maybe because my late mother shielded me from a lot of things. I was not aware that the world doesn't really like confident women.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it? And in fact, before I, put you in that blanket, have you ever experienced that? And how do you deal with it if you do experience it?
Of course, I have. But thank God, I'm out of that.
Yeah.
All right. Because, and it's not all men.
Yeah.
But I do have people in my circle who said this over and over again. Like, you'll never be this, you'll never be that, because you think you all that.
Yes.
Like, what man would want to be with a woman like you?
Yes.
If like, wenza loku, naloku, like, look at the car that you're driving.
Yeah.
Where do men fit in? Even friends, like male friends in my space would say that. So it does happen, and social media as well.
Yes.
I'm 31. Every second day when I go on your Instagram, there's going to be some random men who say, okay, all the ladies in their 30s are expired.
Hey, Labati, our value. Value is gone.
You guys are worth nothing. Pumanije, Kemini, Aniko. And for so long, I battled with that. Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, when I was in corporate, most of my colleagues at the time were married. They were in stable relationships. The boyfriends would come and drop them off.
Yes.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I remember the one time having a conversation with God. I'm like, child, like, what's going on with my life? Like, why am I not married? Like, all these girls are getting married, and is it supposed to? And God said, I want to take you on a journey. Because we have a very close relationship. And I said, okay, fine. And that's how Mrs. Bold came about as well. After the lesson, he just wanted to seal the conversation with that platform. So, uNkulunkulu angifundisa nje about life, how he designed it, what the purpose of women are emhlabeni, and
give it to us, Petunia.
Namadoda ukuthi babizelwe kanjani, the whole structure of family and things like that. Honey, it'll take the whole day.
Please just come on, give us an overview.
Ngifuna kuya somewhere. Okay, fine. So but lapho bekafuna ukungifundisa ukuthini ngingabi ne-stress about what other people are having. And it boils down to the point I made earlier, ukuthi, because it's given us free will and the choice, you decide ukuthi ngifuna loku, I can decide ukuthi okay ngifuna loku. Most of them crash. Bagcine bangakayi-realize ne-purpose or i-destiny le uNkulunkulu bekababekele yona, because they choose ufuna kuhamba ngemizwa or i-society ukuthi ithini, it's not going to take you anywhere. And so angifuni kuba kudirile kakhulu ku-point lethu, ngifuna ukuyiletha e-home. So kwafika isikhathi where uNkulunkulu wathi, okay, I want you to establish this platform so you can get to deal with the ladies that are married. And in that space, I get to have like one-on-one sessions with them. Then they let me in with their personal spaces. And then uNkulunkulu athi, uyabona what I was protecting you from, because they are strong enough to handle this. But at the time, you weren't. And so it didn't make sense for you to ask of me, okay, nami ngiphi indoda, ngiphi this. You were not fully developed to even understand that institution yomshado, you know. And so that's why ngivumela ukuthi uhambe ngepath le ohamba ngayo. And so to your question, ukuthi in society where we are told ukuthi we pretty, we can have this, we can't have that, nokuthi ngi-navigate kanjani. I think at this point, because of the work that I do, ngiyabona with the aesthetic salon as well, I deal a lot with women. Uma ngibona amantombazana eza for, you know, the boob enhancement procedures and things like that, I normally have conversations with them, and uyabona ukuthi most of them beza for the lifting and stuff because ibody yabo seyinjani. Okay, are you married? No. So why are you like this? Nomtana, you know, I'm a single mom. And I remember the one time I had a conversation with God. I'm like, what are you teaching me? Wati, this is what happens if you fall for societal pressures. They're going to tell you who and what you are supposed to be. But if it's not aligned, nalento engiyifunayo mina, because naturally, you are only supposed to bear kids in the confinement of marriage, right? Laba, they did it outside of that. Manje uyeza uzolifta kangaki. You know, that is now going to be your daily bread, because ufuna vele elimile eli cute. But now, see, engage eyintweni that we had no business engaging in. Sekumoshakele, so manje ufuna uphilela ukuthi ubhadala ama fees just to maintain that. Unless unemali ke yokwenza le ma BBL nama lifting in Turkey, lapho udinga, I don't know, 70,000-100,000 rand for that. How many people can even afford to do that? But if you had conserved ubuwena bakho, then bonge kube nale stress less manje la bakubizele kiso wangena. Because I always have this conversation with my mom. Guti, society will tell you what you're supposed to be doing. You pretty, you can do this, you can't do that. Oh, women can do this, they can't do that. You're supposed to be married at 30, at 35, at 40, you can't have kids. Who are you to have kids? At 45. But when you suffer the consequences of giving in to those pressures, they won't be there
at all.
Imagine basongitextela, yo, it's 750 boob lift. Like, why is it so expensive? Honey, that's the price.
Yes.
And unfortunately, until uthola leyo 100,000 you go faka leyo permanent. Angiyazi nokuthi permanent orange angiyazi ukuthi. But bazosifostela ukuthi senze ama decisions la yoba detrimental for impilo yethu yonke ngesikhashana. And so where do I find the advice as solid, nale confidence to do what I do without giving into the pressure and really cracking? You guys, I can't stress this enough. uNkulunkulu unayo yonke isource uzokufundisa ukuthi leli khona leli lina 1 2 3 leli lina 1 2 3 mara ungayibamba. So I mean, because I work with women, I work with people. Ngizibona zonke, but it also helps me decide better for myself. And I'm grateful ukuthi uNkulunkulu angibeke in that space, because uyangimolda, uyangifundisa, and I get to make better choices ngoba I learn from other people's mistakes.
You saw me clap my hands. It's very rare for me to clap my hands, but Petunia has me clapping my hands because you are so young, so solid. And one thing that I am picking up from you is this theme that you have this amazing relationship with God, that the solutions He proposes to you become public platforms via business or whatever solution you can think of. And that has really, and I'm going to tell you to your face, that has really changed my perspective on how I receive information from God and how I actually take it in, because you said that God wants motion, right? Is it you who said that? I interviewed so many people. I think you said that God wants motion. So you have these downloads from God and you translate them to business.
100%.
Downloads from God translated into business, right? And there you are at home. God has been telling you, start that thing, go to this thing, go to this, do that. But when you want a book to just drop at your doorstep and have the whole formula, because you can't just start. You can't just have faith enough. And Petunia is here. She's saying, how you're not gonna figure it out. Just start with what you have.
Remember, you have the aspect of creating in you, and so he gives you the idea, and then you
create.
It's a partnership. You need to now bring it to life. He's not gonna come here and then
give you the
no.
Yeah,
he drops it, and then he wants to see how you bring it to life. And there's different ways to go about that. So you are serving, I'm serving, but we do it differently. But the idea one is to serve. So uthanda lento ukuthi asibone ukuthi si create kanjani, and that's what pleases him.
Petu, we literally have 8 minutes. A message to anyone at home who is fearful, and number 2, a message to anyone at home who just feels, Mina, God is not for me. Because I see those comments, right? I get those DMs where people say, Nina, you guys are lucky, your prayers get answered. Maybe let's say I would have been doing a video and I said, this is what God said to me, just like how you relate. This is what, and people say, Nina, lucky. And you can tell it's from a place of hurt. Right?
Yes.
Hey, you guys, you get answers from God. So please address those 2 individuals. One who is very fearful of starting and doing and becoming, and the one who thinks, Mina, God shem.
Okay, so Kala with the one who's fearful.
Yes.
Right? I've been there. Chat.
Yeah.
Worst place to be.
Yes.
So, the moment you start, right, whatever idea or nayo, once you start working towards the goal, utobona guti, the fear literally disappears. It only happens when you are in motion. When you still utobona all the obstacles, that's not going to get you anywhere. Ibile, you might even find yourself in a place where uba paralyzed, because fear does paralyze you. So you need to get going. Do what you're supposed to, and God is going to reveal the next steps as you continue on your journey. Number 2, I've learned with my journey, Guti, usually the people that aren't doing anything will have so much to say about what you are doing. But in reality, if you were to exchange leitulo, they would kill to be in your position. So usually they are projecting. Yeah, but what are you doing? Oh, that's not going to work. No, they feel it's not going to work for them because they've got stuff hindering them from taking action. But who says it's not going to work for you? Because your strategy is probably going to be different from the next person's strategy. And so, number 3, utobona guti, as you take the first couple of steps, keep it moving. In no time, the very people that doubted you will be inspired by you. So you have a
And they'll be hiding.
No. They'll
be hiding.
Yes. They're gonna come to you for advice. How you did it, and you're like, but just yesterday you were saying, you know. So just keep at it. There's no person that you admire today ongagaze wafila ifye, ongagaze wadoubt ukuthi lento abayenzayo i-right, you know. The only thing that's going to set you apart from your community, the people that you're competing with in your space, is action. Just do what you're supposed to be doing. Focus on your journey. Stay in your lane. Like, you know, because if shit hit the fan, honey, no one is coming to save you. You are your own rescue at the end of the day. And then number 2, we've got 4 minutes left.
Yes.
Number 2,
when people feel God is not
for them. Okay, cool. So this is interesting because just the day before yesterday, I told her this download from the Lord, Uguti. You know, He made us. I said this to you earlier. The word says He knew me before I showed up in this world. Number 2, when you read the Bible, litokchela guti beganati or besinaye emaphakathini. So emaphakathini, that's where God dwells, right? The word says God is spirit. So this is how I see Him. He is spirit. He is the ultimate source. We are all an extension of this source, right? So if you think uzozenzela ngokwazi kwakho, angeke uyikhone, because this is the source. Go back to the person, oqhamuka kuye. Draw inspiration from that. Power, inspiration, ideas,
money,
strategies. Honey,
everything.
The money, we love money, I love money.
Yes.
All of it, ikhona kuye, because we are all an extension of this one being. Ungabuyela laphaya, uyakwazi. And when you are not in alignment, uyakuzwa, because you are connected to Him. Uyakuzwa ukuthi no, khona into engekho right for one of my people.
Yes.
And so it's absurd for me, uma ngibona abantu bathi they can figure it out on their own. There's too many forces azokubamba ukuthi ufike ku destiny yakho. And you also can't say you don't believe in God, because that's where you come from. And so simbona asleta in this world that is so crazy, challenging, you name it.
Yeah.
But because He loves us so much and He's so good, watabona the enemy ukuthi sowuskilile in a way, He decided to come down. He showed us how to do this life thing. When we look at the life of Jesus, prayer, 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 because that's where He was drawing His strength from, His wisdom from. Ubani wena ukuthi ungasukela le life enje uyi-one. It's not possible. But also when we go, so the whole coming of the Christ, the cross, everything was to basically realign us, nokuthi reconcile with our Creator. That's done. Now uNkulunkulu ucreate umhlaba uthini, let's be fruitful, let's multiply, let's work.
Yes.
So what we're doing, we're working. So we're doing what we're doing. Uzoyenza njani into le umnikazi athi yenze, but you don't even know what He wants you to be doing. It's not possible. So whether we want to admit it or not, whether we feel God is relevant or not, He is, because there's absolutely nothing ongayenza without Him showing you nokuthi pushing. He's the one who's going to place you in the right rooms as well. The world is chaotic. There's too much going on. The one time, ngaba nombuzo nje ukuthi, who decides ukuthi who's greater than who? Who decides ukuthi you are better than me, or Beyonce is better than you?
Yes.
These are human beings creating all these
hierarchies and
no, I'm not participating in that. I can be great by just going back to my Creator and have Him tell me who Petunia is, what He wants for me, redefine Petunia. Because in society, our backgrounds, how we grew up, tend to blind us, of in knowledge esiqhamuka nayo from our Heavenly Father. And so we do need to go back so that He can revive us, aphinde redefine our identity. In that way, we are able to show up fully the way yena asipha ngakhona, not how other people see you, but how He sees you.
I see Valimfana, because wow, okay, that was beyond inspirational. That was a sermon delivered beautifully.
And
that was church, because you cannot convince me that if you watched right up until this point, you are not going to be inspired to, one, seek that connection with God. As Petunia said, even if you're going through the storm, even if you're going through everything and anything that tells you that God is not there, stick to God. Like, just stick there. Prayer. You said that even Christ knew the only way to get through was prayer. So even as you're crying, cry in prayer. Even if as you're questioning, question in prayer. Even when you are doubting, doubt in prayer, as in still pray and say, God, me, I'm doubting you. But as long as you're still in that, your answer will come.
Absolutely.
Petunia, thank you so much.
Thank you
for being who you are. And we truly thank God for your life, because He is moving and you have fully embraced being a vessel. And we thank you because you're setting an example, a standard, for young people, young girls. 31 is still very young. Forget about those toxic clowns that tell us that at a certain age, you have expired. Nothing that has God's label. Exactly. God's purpose has no expiry date.
Yeah.
It has no expiry date. Listen, this is Bemovation. All the details around Image Africa Awards, around everything that Petunia does, you will find on the link below, because I'm sure if you're going to watch this episode, you're going to want to know, who is this girl? Who is this girl? So tell your mama, tell your father, tell your ex to subscribe to this channel, so they can be a better person. This is Bemovation. Thank you so much. It's a wrap.